Procrastination. It's a word that we all know too well. It's that nagging feeling, that voice whispering, just 5 more minutes. What many don't realize is that procrastination is far more than just a personal flaw or a bad habit. It's a complex psychological process that intertwines with our emotions, motivation, and even our self-identity. So, what exactly is procrastination? At its core, it's the act of delaying or postponing tasks. Yet, it carries a heavy emotional burden. Research from the University of Vermont shows that approximately 20% of adults identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. But why do we procrastinate? Is it purely about laziness, or is there something deeper at play? When we think about procrastination, we often conjure up images of individuals glued to their TV screens or endlessly scrolling through social media. But beneath this surface-level view lies a myriad of psychological factors. For instance, fear of failure plays a significant role. Many fear that if they start a task, they might not perform well, leading them to avoid starting altogether. Another critical factor is perfectionism. A study published by the American Psychological Association indicates that perfectionists are more likely to procrastinate because they feel overwhelmed by the need for everything to be just right. Let's consider the story of Sarah, a writer who dreams of publishing her first novel. Every day, she sits at her desk, staring at a blank page, debating whether what she writes is good enough. She tells herself she'll write tomorrow after she's done more research or when she has the perfect plot twist. Yet tomorrow never comes. Sarah's procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about the crippling fear of not being perfect. Neuroscience is beginning to shed light on the brain's role in procrastination. Research has indicated that procrastinators often have an imbalance in their brains when it comes to the reward system. Instead of focusing on long-term rewards, they lean towards immediate gratification. A study from the University of Paderborn found that procrastinators had lower activation in areas of the brain associated with future planning. In Sarah's case, her brain prioritizes the immediate comfort of avoiding discomfort over the long-term reward of completing her book. This explains why procrastination so often feels like a losing battle. It's a challenging cycle to break. What's even more startling is the emotional aftermath of procrastination. Numerous studies suggest that it can lead to increased feelings of guilt and anxiety, creating a vicious cycle. When we procrastinate, we feel bad about it, which prompts us to avoid tasks even more. Procrastination is, in many ways, a self-inflicted wound. As we move through this documentary, we'll explore not only the reasons behind procrastination but also effective ways to combat it. Procrastination is not a character flaw, it's a psychological struggle that many face. Understanding its nature is the first step in overcoming it. But what happens next? How do we move from understanding to action? As we dive deeper, it's crucial to understand the psychological mechanisms that drive procrastination. Our minds are not just passive observers, they actively shape our behaviors and choices. At the heart of procrastination are emotional responses that distort our perception of time, motivation, and self-worth. One of the most significant aspects is what psychologists call temporal discounting. This is the tendency to prioritize immediate rewards over longer-term goals. A classic study conducted by the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment showed that children who could resist the immediate temptation of a marshmallow for a more significant reward later were more likely to succeed in various aspects of life. But for many, the immediate gratification of watching TV or scrolling through social media outweighs the distant benefits of completing a task. Consider Tom, a university student who struggles with his thesis. He knows that finishing his thesis will open doors to potential jobs, but the lure of a YouTube video is more immediate. His brain, wired for quick rewards, nudges him toward the instant pleasure, resulting in a spiraling pattern of avoidance. The more he procrastinates, the more stressed he becomes, amplifying his feelings of inadequacy. Another psychological mechanism at play is self-regulation failure. This refers to the struggle between our immediate desires and long-term goals. Research shows that individuals with low self-regulation skills are more prone to procrastination. One study published in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who practiced mindfulness showed significantly reduced procrastination levels. Mindfulness helps individuals become more aware of their thoughts and feelings, allowing them to resist the temptation to avoid unpleasant tasks. Let's take a moment to reflect on Lisa, who juggles a full-time job while pursuing a degree. Each day, the responsibilities pile up, and she often feels overwhelmed. When faced with assignments, she battles between her desire to get them done and the impulse to disconnect and relax. By using mindfulness techniques, Lisa learns to recognize her procrastination patterns and confront her urge to avoid work. This shift in thinking helped her regain control over her time and tasks. It's essential to remember that procrastination is not merely the result of laziness. It's a complex interplay of psychological mechanisms and emotional responses that can hinder our progress. Understanding these internal struggles is vital for developing effective strategies to combat them. So, what strategies can you adopt to break free from the cycle of procrastination? Fear and anxiety are powerful emotions that significantly contribute to procrastination. They can paralyze even the most motivated individuals, leading us to avoid tasks that we know we need to complete. Let's explore how fear manifests itself in procrastination. Fear of failure is the most prominent. When individuals are afraid that they won't meet their own or others' expectations, they tend to avoid starting tasks altogether. This fear creates a sense of helplessness, leading to further procrastination. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine discovered a strong correlation between anxiety and procrastination. Individuals with higher levels of anxiety are more likely to postpone tasks, leading to a cycle where anxiety breeds procrastination, and procrastination breeds more anxiety. Take the case of Mark, a talented graphic designer. Despite his skills, Mark often finds himself putting off project deadlines because he fears that the final product won't be good enough. His fear of judgment from clients becomes overwhelming, causing him to avoid starting altogether. Each day he procrastinates, his anxiety levels rise, impacting his well-being. This reinforces the belief that he isn't cut out for the industry, which only makes it harder to move forward. Another fear that contributes to procrastination is fear of success. Yes, you heard that right. For some, achieving success means facing new responsibilities or increased pressure to perform. This paradox, known as success anxiety, can hinder progress in ways many don't realize. Let's consider the story of Rachel, a budding entrepreneur. Rachel had a successful small business but constantly found ways to delay critical decisions, such as hiring additional staff or expanding her brand. She feared that with success would come more work and higher expectations. Understanding these fears is crucial for personal development. Recognizing that fear is a normal part of the process allows individuals to address it directly. Strategies such as cognitive behavioral techniques can help reframe negative thoughts related to fear and anxiety, encouraging a healthier relationship with tasks. As we continue to navigate through the psychology of procrastination, it's essential to explore practical methods for overcoming these emotional barriers. Will Rachel's story serve as the impetus for her to embrace success? What strategies will she implement to break free from her fears? Having explored the roots of procrastination, it's time to discuss practical techniques that can help individuals break free from its grasp. Starting with the simplest but often overlooked technique, breaking tasks into smaller chunks. This method, known as chunking, involves dividing larger tasks into manageable steps. For instance, instead of saying, "I need to write a report," reframe it to, "I'll draft the introduction today." By focusing on just one part, the task feels less daunting. This approach is backed by research from the American Psychological Association, which highlights that small wins boost motivation and reduce feelings of overwhelm. Consider the experience of James, a software developer facing a massive coding project. Instead of tackling the entire project at once, he decided to break it into sections. By focusing on one feature a day, James felt a sense of accomplishment, motivating him to continue. Another effective strategy to combat procrastination is the Pomodoro technique. This technique involves working for a set amount of time, usually 25 minutes, followed by a short break. Studies show that this method enhances focus and reduces burnout, making it an effective approach for those dealing with procrastination. Picture Emma, a college student. She often finds herself distracted by her phone during study sessions. By implementing the Pomodoro technique, she sets a timer for 25 minutes, dedicating herself to studying without distractions. This structured approach helps her maintain focus and improves her productivity. Additionally, accountability plays a significant role in overcoming procrastination. When individuals share their goals with others, they often feel more compelled to follow through. A study published in the Journal of Social Psychology found that sharing goals with friends increased the likelihood of achieving them. Let's revisit Rachel from earlier. She decides to share her expansion plans with her mentor. By setting deadlines and discussing her goals, Rachel feels a newfound sense of accountability, pushing her toward taking action. Combining these techniques, chunking tasks, using the Pomodoro technique, and seeking accountability, creates a robust strategy against procrastination. It's about making small, consistent changes that can lead to significant transformation over time. So, what will it take for you to implement these techniques in your life? As we have examined the roots and strategies for overcoming procrastination, it is vital to understand the long-term effects it can have on individuals' lives. Procrastination does not just affect our productivity, it can deeply impact our overall well-being, relationships, and even our mental health. Research from the University of Calgary indicates that chronic procrastination correlates with higher levels of stress, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. Individuals who continually put off tasks tend to experience a decline in mental health, leading to depressive symptoms and significant life discontent. Let's take a moment to consider the story of David, a high school teacher. David has been a passionate educator for years but has struggled with procrastination, particularly in grading assignments. His habit of delaying not only affects his performance but also impacts his students' learning experience. Over time, he becomes increasingly overwhelmed, leading to burnout and a sense of failure. His procrastination affects his job satisfaction and ultimately his passion for teaching. Moreover, procrastination can strain relationships. When someone consistently puts off commitments, it can lead to broken promises, disappointment, and eroded trust among friends and family. Consider Lisa, who constantly delays planning family outings. Her loved ones start to feel neglected, leading to conflicts and distancing. The emotional fallout of procrastination doesn't just affect the procrastinator but reverberates through their relationships. The long-term effects of procrastination can even impact career prospects. Delaying essential tasks can hinder professional development and advancement. Studies show that procrastinators often miss deadlines, leading to reduced opportunities for promotions or raises. Reflecting on David's case, he realizes that his procrastination isn't just about grading, it's about the ripple effects it has on his career trajectory. In recognizing these long-term implications, it becomes clear that addressing procrastination is crucial not only for personal success but for holistic well-being. The first step is awareness, followed by proactive strategies to enact change. As we progress in this documentary, we will explore how individuals can reclaim their time, enhance their well-being, and create lives filled with purpose and fulfillment. What steps will David take to re-engage with his passion for teaching? In the ongoing battle against procrastination, understanding the role of habits is vital. Habits shape our daily routines, some of which may inadvertently support procrastination. A study published in the journal Psychological Science demonstrated that habitual behaviors stem from a series of cue routine reward loops, These loops can create a sense of automaticity, making it easier to slip into a procrastination routine without conscious thought. Consider the story of Sarah, a college student who struggled with procrastination. Like many, she had a habit of scrolling through social media whenever she faced an assignment. The cue was the sight of her laptop, the routine was browsing Twitter or Instagram, and the reward came from the momentary distraction. This habitual procrastination became so ingrained that she didn't even notice it was happening. Research indicates that it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. However, breaking a habit is often more challenging than creating one. To combat procrastination, Sarah had to first identify her procrastination triggers. What were the cues that sent her spiraling into distraction? Armed with this knowledge, she created a new habit loop that substituted her scrolling habit with productive behaviors. Another effective technique is the implementation of implementation intentions, popularized by psychologist Peter Gollwitzer. It involves making specific plans about when and where to act. For example, rather than saying, "I will study tomorrow," Sarah set an implementation intention, "I will study in the library at 3 p.m. tomorrow." This clarity removed ambiguity, creating a psychological roadmap for success. Moreover, environmental cues can drastically influence our habits. A study published in Environment and Behavior found that changing one's workspace can enhance productivity. Sarah rearranged her study space, placing her textbooks in sight and minimizing distractions. The conscious effort to cultivate an environment that promotes focus minimizes the chances for procrastination. Ultimately, harnessing the power of habits does not mean eliminating all enjoyable activities. Instead, it's about mindful engagement. Each time Sarah chose to study over scrolling, she reinforced a positive feedback loop, hence increasing her motivation to continue. As she became more productive, her confidence grew, showcasing the interconnectedness between habit formation and overcoming procrastination. But how does this interplay of habits and rituals manifest in our daily lives? As we navigate through challenges, the next chapter will explore the synergy between self-discipline and motivation, drawing on powerful strategies that reinforce commitment and enhance personal growth. Can we truly cultivate self-discipline, or is it an innate trait? Let's delve deeper. Self-discipline is often perceived as the backbone of productivity, especially when it comes to overcoming procrastination. But what is self-discipline, and how can it be nurtured? To illustrate this, let's turn to the story of Tom, a young entrepreneur who once struggled to bring his ideas to fruition. Tom had a groundbreaking app idea but found himself delaying its development due to self-doubt and fear of failure. His procrastination stemmed from a lack of self-discipline, a trait he believed was fixed rather than malleable. However, researchers like Angela Duckworth emphasize that self-discipline can be cultivated like a muscle. Duckworth's research on grit highlights that consistent effort over time outmatches talent or intelligence when it comes to achieving success. For Tom, the journey towards self-discipline began with small commitments. Instead of sparking a full-blown project, he resolved to dedicate just 10 minutes a day to sketching out ideas for his app. This minimal time commitment made it easier to overcome the initial inertia. The key here is to start small and gradually increase one's commitment. The habit of practicing self-discipline can also be linked to goal setting. Setting SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, provides clarity and direction. Tom needed to break down his larger vision into manageable actions. For instance, instead of saying, "I want to build an app," he set a SMART goal: "I will design the wireframes of my app by the end of the month." This structure gave him a tangible target to work toward, reinforcing his self-discipline. Additionally, the method of temptation bundling was adopted by Tom. This technique involves pairing an enjoyable activity with a less enjoyable one. For example, he allowed himself to listen to his favorite podcast only while working on his app. This combination of pleasure with productivity helped him develop a routine that encouraged consistent effort. Psychological studies show that self-discipline is also tied to emotional regulation. A 2015 study published in Frontiers in Psychology revealed that individuals who can manage their emotions tend to display higher self-discipline. Tom's journey thus encouraged him to practice mindfulness and emotional awareness to better handle the anxiety surrounding his project. As his self-discipline grew, so did his ability to overcome procrastination, leading to the successful launch of his app, which not only became a personal triumph but also demonstrated the transformative power of self-discipline. But what happens when self-discipline wanes, or life events challenge our resolve? In the next chapter, we'll explore how accountability can serve as a catalyst for maintaining momentum and progress in our fight against procrastination. Accountability is a significant force in the realm of personal productivity, especially when battling procrastination. But what does it truly mean to be accountable, and how can it influence our behaviors? Let's explore the case of Lisa, a freelance writer who felt overwhelmed by constant distractions and deadlines. Lisa struggled to maintain her writing schedule, often finding distractions pulling her away from work. Her turning point came when she decided to join a local writers' group. The act of sharing her goals with a group created a sense of accountability that Lisa had previously lacked. Research from the American Society of Training and Development shows that people are 65% more likely to achieve their goals if they commit to another person. By openly discussing her deadlines and seeking feedback, Lisa found a community that not only encouraged her but also held her accountable, leading to increased productivity. Accountability partners can take various forms, from colleagues to friends, or even family members. When Lisa's writing group met every week, the shared progress check-ins provided motivation and served as a reminder of her commitments. Another potent form of accountability is public accountability, where sharing goals on social media or blogs can act as additional motivation. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that making commitments public significantly increases goal achievement. When Lisa began sharing her writing goals online, she was more dedicated to completing them, fearing the public scrutiny of non-completion. However, accountability is not merely about external pressures, it also involves self-commitment. Techniques like creating contracts with oneself or employing apps designed for goal tracking can help foster a sense of responsibility. Lisa harnessed this method through project management tools that reminded her of her deadlines and achievements. She learned to celebrate small wins, reinforcing her commitment to her writing. But accountability can also have its downsides. It is essential to maintain a balance, as too much pressure can lead to burnout. The key is to find a supportive network that aligns with personal goals without overwhelming oneself. As Lisa's self-discipline flourished, she learned that accountability didn't drive her merely out of fear, it was about building relationships that encouraged growth. As we explore the dynamics of procrastination, it beckons us to ask, how can we integrate these insights into our daily lives? Our next chapter will uncover how mindset plays a pivotal role in overcoming our tendencies to procrastinate. Mindset is arguably the foundation upon which we build our thoughts and actions concerning procrastination. Carol Dweck, a renowned psychologist, outlines the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset assumes that our abilities are static, whereas a growth mindset embraces the concept that we can develop our abilities through effort and learning. This transformation of perspective can be pivotal for those who find themselves ensnared in procrastination. Take Jake, for instance, a high school student who often waited until the last minute to study for exams. His fixed mindset perpetuated a cycle of fear and avoidance. He believed that failing a test would confirm his inadequacy. With the encouragement of his teacher, Jake began to adopt a growth mindset. He started to see mistakes as opportunities for learning rather than reflections of his worth. As he shifted this perspective, Jake became more willing to tackle challenging subjects head-on. He celebrated small victories, like scoring higher on quizzes, which further reinforced his developing mindset. Research indicates that adopting a growth mindset significantly reduces procrastination. A study published in Learning and Individual Differences found that students who hold a growth mindset are less likely to procrastinate and more likely to embrace their challenges. This newfound belief in his abilities allowed Jake to approach his studies with a sense of curiosity rather than dread. Another critical aspect of mindset is self-compassion. Understanding that procrastination is a common struggle allows individuals to forgive themselves, reducing overall anxiety. A study in the journal Personality and Individual Differences found that self-compassion is inversely related to procrastination. By treating ourselves kindly during setbacks, we can cultivate resilience. Jake learned that reframing his narrative around failure and progress was essential. Instead of viewing himself as lazy, he began to see procrastination as a signal to reflect and correct his approach. He started using visualization techniques, picturing himself successfully completing tasks and feeling the satisfaction that came with it. Mindset is not just an abstract concept, it can lead to tangible results in our lives. As we ponder the implications of mindset on procrastination, we are led to consider how our journey continues to evolve. Our final chapter will synthesize these concepts and propose an actionable path toward overcoming procrastination, ensuring we move forward with renewed hope and confidence. As we arrive at the conclusion of our exploration into procrastination, we find ourselves equipped with a wealth of knowledge and practical strategies to implement. The journey to overcoming procrastination is not a destination but a continuous process. To create a sustainable path forward, we must integrate everything we've learned about habits, self-discipline, accountability, and mindset. Let's revisit the essential strategies and distill them into actionable steps. First and foremost, practice self-awareness. Take time to identify your procrastination triggers. Whether it's fear, perfectionism, or external distractions, understanding what holds you back is crucial. Once you identify these triggers, create a plan to address them directly. Next, set SMART goals that break tasks into manageable steps. Remember the story of Tom? By establishing small, concrete goals, he crafted a path that felt less daunting. Alongside goal setting, introduce implementation intentions to define when and where you will tackle specific tasks. Moreover, cultivate a supportive environment that promotes focus. Rearranging your workspace or minimizing distractions can create the conducive atmosphere needed for productivity. Engage in temptation bundling to associate tasks with pleasurable rewards, making the process enjoyable. Accountability remains a powerful ally in this endeavor. Whether through a partner, group, or self-contracts, sharing your progress with others fosters commitment. Remember Lisa's experience. She found motivation and encouragement through her writing group, which became instrumental in her success. Mindset transformation is also a fundamental element in our journey. Embrace a growth mindset, celebrating your progress rather than dwelling on setbacks. Utilize self-compassion to mitigate anxiety and stress associated with procrastination. Remember, perfection is not the goal, progress is what truly matters. Lastly, implement regular reflection. Take time to evaluate what strategies work for you, what triggers you, and how your mindset influences your actions. Such reflection provides insight into your progress and reveals areas for continued growth. The journey towards overcoming procrastination is ongoing, but each small victory fuels the next step forward. As we conclude our exploration, remember that the path to overcoming procrastination is paved with resilience, understanding, and growth. You hold the keys to your potential, and with the right strategies and mindset, the horizon of productivity is within reach. By integrating these insights into your life, you can embark on a fulfilling journey of action, achievement, and endless possibilities. Thank you for joining this exploration into the depths of procrastination, and may you always strive for progress over perfection. Procrastination is not just a habit, it is deeply rooted in the workings of our brain. Neuroscience research reveals that certain areas of the brain are responsible for delaying actions. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and impulse control, often battles with the limbic system, which governs our emotional responses and desire for immediate gratification. This conflict creates a scenario where the urge to delay tasks can overpower our rational thoughts. The emotional roller coaster induced by procrastination leads to guilt, anxiety, and even depression, creating a vicious cycle that is hard to escape. For instance, in a study published in the journal Psychological Science, researchers found that individuals who procrastinate have a weaker connection between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. This means that when faced with a task, instead of activating the parts of the brain that propel you forward, the emotional part that craves comfort takes over, leading to avoidance behaviors. In real-life situations, this may manifest when a student delays studying for an exam, opting instead for social media scrolling or binge-watching a show. When we ignore our responsibilities, we give in to short-term pleasure at the cost of long-term success. Understanding the neurological basis of procrastination can help us develop strategies to mitigate its effects. By focusing on techniques that activate the prefrontal cortex, such as breaking tasks into smaller steps, we can regain control. This chapter dives deeply into how self-awareness of these brain mechanisms can be a powerful tool for transformation. Examples of successful individuals who have battled procrastination reveal that awareness of these brain dynamics plays a crucial role in overcoming delays. At the end of this chapter, we'll explore various stories of people who used their understanding of procrastination's neuroscience to create effective strategies, such as visualization and self-reward systems, to defeat their procrastination demons. Our social environment profoundly influences our procrastination habits. Research has demonstrated that the people we surround ourselves with can motivate or demotivate us. A study by the University of Virginia found that individuals in a group setting are likely to adopt the group's norms, whether those norms pertain to productivity or delay. If peers are procrastinating, it's far too easy to slip into the same behavior. Conversely, individuals who associate with disciplined, goal-oriented friends often find themselves encouraged to achieve. In this chapter, we'll delve into the dynamics of social influence on procrastination through various powerful anecdotes, such as workplace environments and academic settings. Consider the case of Sarah, a college student who found her productivity plummeting after befriending a group that often pushed deadlines to the last minute. As she fell into their rhythm of procrastination, her grades began to suffer. On the other hand, think of Jason, who thrived in a study group that set strict deadlines and held each other accountable. By creating an environment that discouraged procrastination, Jason excelled academically and developed a robust work ethic. We'll explore social accountability as a critical factor in fighting procrastination. This chapter will also highlight practical strategies for reshaping your social circle or influence, emphasizing the importance of surrounding yourself with motivated individuals. The narrative will include stories of successful transformation through the supportive networks that replaced toxic procrastination habits with productive routines. By the end of this chapter, you'll be inspired to think about your social circles and consider how they directly impact your productivity. One of the most insidious forms of procrastination is deeply intertwined with perfectionism. The fear of not achieving perfection can lead individuals to delay taking action altogether. The psychology behind this connection reveals a paradox: the more we strive for perfection, the less likely we are to complete our tasks. Studies have shown that perfectionists often procrastinate due to the anxiety of not meeting their own unrealistic standards or those imposed by society. An example of this can be seen in the life of a talented writer who delays finishing a manuscript out of fear that it won't be good enough. This self-imposed pressure can be debilitating, leading to a cycle where the writer avoids working altogether. Research suggests that approximately 20% of individuals identify as perfectionists, and many of them admit to procrastinating as a result. In this chapter, we will discuss several case studies highlighting this relationship, including professionals across various fields who have struggled with perfectionism and procrastination. It's crucial to identify the patterns of perfectionism that fuel procrastination. Practical strategies will be provided to help you break free from these patterns, such as setting realistic goals and celebrating small achievements. By sharing personal stories of people who learn to embrace good enough instead of their unattainable standards, we hope to inspire a mindset shift that fosters productivity. As we conclude this chapter, we will reflect on how overcoming perfectionism can lead to a more fulfilling and less stressful life. Procrastination is more than just a bad habit, it's deeply rooted in the biology of our brain. Understanding the neuroscience behind procrastination can provide vital insights into our behavior, allowing us to identify triggers and mitigate their effects. Studies have shown that the brain's limbic system, which governs emotions and immediate impulses, often clashes with the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control. When we face a daunting task, the limbic system fires up our emotional responses of stress and anxiety, steering us towards distraction and comfort rather than productivity. This internal battle can lead to several procrastination patterns. For instance, when confronted with a challenging project, someone might opt to scroll through social media instead. This decision stems from the immediate gratification our brain craves. The pleasure centers of our brain light up as we engage in activities that require little effort, thanks to the dopamine we receive from such rewards. Neuroscientific studies, like one published in the journal Psychological Science, reveal remarkable differences in the decision-making process between those who procrastinate and those who don't. Researchers measured brain activity as participants made decisions related to potential financial gains. They found that chronic procrastinators exhibit brain responses indicating a heightened sensitivity to immediate rewards, while non-procrastinators showed greater activation of the prefrontal cortex, suggesting strong planning capabilities. Moreover, the concept of temporal discounting comes into play here, where we tend to devalue future rewards. This means the farther away a deadline or reward is, the less motivating it appears. Consequently, individuals end up focusing on short-term distractions instead of long-term goals. This temporal mismatch can lead to a cycle of guilt and shame. According to a 2020 study published in Nature Human Behavior, procrastinators often report higher levels of stress as deadlines loom, leading to a push towards panic-driven productivity. Another fascinating aspect involves brain activity patterns tied to emotional regulation. When faced with a task that stirs anxiety, procrastinators often lack the emotional coping strategies necessary to manage their feelings. They may be more likely to engage in negative self-talk, questioning their abilities and decision-making. Understanding these underlying neural mechanisms leads to practical strategies for overcoming procrastination. For instance, breaking tasks into smaller, manageable pieces not only makes projects less intimidating but also activates the prefrontal cortex, steering the decision-making process towards positive outcomes. Implementing mindfulness practices can also strengthen emotional regulation, helping you to build resilience against procrastination triggers. In essence, the battle against procrastination is a war within our brain. Learning to better navigate these neural pathways can empower us, fostering not only productivity but also a deeper understanding of our emotional responses. As we delve into further strategies and personal stories, remember that our biology doesn't have to dictate our behavior as we take steps forward. The influence of our social environment on procrastination cannot be underestimated. Every day, we are surrounded by various distractions and pressures that can hinder our ability to focus. From online social networks to workplace cultures, our surroundings play a crucial role in determining our productivity levels. Social psychology studies reveal the concept of social facilitation, where the presence of others can either enhance or hinder our performance. Interestingly, while some might find motivation in teamwork or collaborative settings, others may experience increased anxiety or pressure, leading to further procrastination. A revealing study conducted by the University of Massachusetts showed that the mere presence of peers can affect procrastination rates. Participants were less likely to procrastinate when working alongside others, but increased procrastination was noted in isolated environments where they felt free to delay without immediate accountability. Moreover, our immediate social connections can significantly shape our habits. When surrounded by highly productive individuals, we are more likely to adopt similar behaviors, fostering a culture of accountability. Conversely, if we are in a social circle where procrastination is the norm, we may inadvertently fall into those patterns ourselves. Let's consider the story of Tom, who found himself in a procrastination rut due to his environment. Living with housemates who often preferred binge-watching shows over studying, Tom struggled to maintain focus. It wasn't until he relocated to a study group that prioritized academic success that he experienced a significant shift. Another powerful influence is the digital social environment. Social media platforms are designed to captivate our attention, often leading us astray from our tasks. For example, research from the University of California concluded that students who frequently checked their social media accounts reported lower academic performance due to increased procrastination. Navigating these social influences is critical. One strategy is to cultivate an environment that promotes productivity. This can mean surrounding oneself with motivated peers, having accountability partners, or even establishing boundaries with those who might negatively influence your focus. Additionally, fostering a collaborative work atmosphere can ignite motivation. Studies have shown that environments that encourage open communication and shared goals significantly reduce procrastination rates. Create spaces where ideas flow freely and accountability is shared. In conclusion, by recognizing how the social environment impacts our behaviors, we can take proactive steps to shape it to our advantage. As we transition to practical techniques, consider how you might influence your surroundings to support better habits for productivity. The complexity of procrastination often intertwines with perfectionism, creating a web of self-doubt and delay. Many people believe that being a perfectionist will lead them to greater achievements, but in reality, it can have the opposite effect. The fear of not reaching unattainably high standards often paralyzes individuals, causing them to put off tasks until the last minute. A significant body of research has explored this relationship. In a study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences, researchers found that perfectionists are more likely to procrastinate due to their fear of making mistakes. They often engage in all-or-nothing thinking, believing that if they can't produce something perfect, they might as well not start at all. Take the story of Sarah, a graduate student. Her obsession with perfection led her to spend hours tweaking her thesis, constantly fearing that it wasn't good enough. As deadlines loomed closer, she found herself paralyzed by inaction. Perfectionism often fuels procrastination, creating a vicious cycle. As tasks remain uncompleted, anxiety and self-criticism increase, leading to even more delay. This cycle can lead to severe emotional tolls. The pressure stemming from perfectionism also impacts our decision-making timeline. Studies suggest that perfectionists face difficulty prioritizing tasks, as they struggle to determine what constitutes good enough. The longer they delay, the more daunting the task seems, further amplifying their fear of failure. Combating this connection requires acknowledging perfectionist tendencies and reframing personal expectations. Setting realistic goals is paramount. Instead of aiming for perfection, striving for progress can help mitigate procrastination. Furthermore, practicing self-compassion can alleviate the harsh judgments of perfectionism. Research from the University of California shows that those who practice self-compassion report lower levels of procrastination. In summary, understanding the link between perfectionism and procrastination is the first step towards breaking the cycle. As we continue exploring actionable strategies in the next segments, consider how you can shift your mindset from perfection to progress. Procrastination isn't just a behavioral issue, it's a complex neurobiological phenomenon. Recent studies have highlighted specific areas in the brain that are linked to our tendency to delay tasks. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and impulse control, often goes to battle against the limbic system, which governs emotions and immediate gratification. This internal conflict can lead to a cycle of procrastination. Take for instance the story of John. An aspiring writer, John found himself constantly distracted, seeking comfort in social media or binge-watching TV shows instead of putting words on paper. This wasn't mere laziness, it was a neurological response. Research indicates that the chemical dopamine plays a significant role in this dynamic. Immediate rewards, such as scrolling through Instagram, release dopamine, providing instant gratification, while the long-term goals of writing a novel can feel daunting and distant. In a groundbreaking study published in the journal Psychological Science, it was found that individuals who struggle with procrastination often have a disconnect between their present self and their future self. Neuroscientists discovered that when participants were asked to think about their future selves, areas of the brain involved in self-control and planning lit up. However, for chronic procrastinators, these areas remain dormant. This suggests that procrastinators see their future selves as strangers, leading to a lack of motivation to take action now. The implications are profound. If we understand procrastination through the lens of neuroscience, we can better strategize our approaches to overcome it. Techniques such as visualization, where one imagines the successes of their future self, can rewire the brain's perception and strengthen the connection between present actions and future rewards. Consider Sarah, a student who struggled with deadlines. Her procrastination stemmed from her brain's strong inclination towards instant rewards. A binge-watch session offered immediate pleasure compared to the distant reward of achieving good grades. However, after therapy aimed at understanding her neural responses, she began to visualize her graduation day, picturing herself walking across the stage. This change in mindset not only reconfigured her emotions but also engaged the areas of her brain associated with motivation, culminating in her completing assignments on time. Realizing that procrastination is intimately linked to our brain chemistry underscores the need for tailored strategies. Techniques such as breaking tasks into smaller, manageable portions can help trigger the reward system, thus easing the tension between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. This strategy can create a cascade of small victories, reinforcing the positive feedback loop necessary for sustained productivity. The takeaway? Understanding the neuroscience behind procrastination allows us to craft our personal narratives in ways that truly resonate with our brain's architecture. By confronting these internal battles head-on, we move closer to transforming procrastination from an adversary into a task to conquer. As we continue to explore this intricate battlefield within us, it leads us to a pivotal question: how does our social environment contribute to these neurobiological tendencies? What role does the company we keep play in shaping our productivity and procrastination habits? Let's delve deeper into the social dynamics of procrastination. Our social environments shape us in ways we often overlook. From the peers we surround ourselves with to the cultural norms we internalize, these external factors play a crucial role in our procrastination habits. Social psychologists have long studied the effects of group dynamics on individual behavior, revealing an undeniable connection between our surroundings and our propensity to delay. The story of Mark is illustrative. A talented graphic designer, Mark began working from home after his company shifted to remote work. Initially, he reveled in the newfound freedom. However, as days turned into weeks, Mark found himself falling into a pattern of consistent procrastination. Instead of tackling projects, he would scroll through online forums and engage in idle chatter with friends. This behavior left him feeling guilty and unproductive, a cycle that only deepened. Research points out that our social environments create a spectrum of accountability. A study published in the Journal of Social Psychology found that individuals are far less likely to procrastinate when they work in teams or are under the watchful eye of peers. In Mark's case, the lack of immediate accountability led to lapses in productivity. The social reinforcement that typically comes from working in an office setting dissipated. Consider also the concept of social loafing, where individuals exert less effort when working in a group than when working alone. This phenomenon can exacerbate procrastination. When individuals perceive that others are not contributing significantly, they may feel justified in delaying their own efforts. This creates a breeding ground for procrastination, where one person's delay catalyzes another's. But it doesn't have to be this way. Creating a productive social environment can mitigate procrastination. Setting up accountability partners, where individuals share their goals and regularly check in, can dramatically improve outcomes. Companies and educational institutions that encourage collaborative work see enhanced productivity as people inspire and motivate each other to stay on task. Moreover, technology provides us with tools that may help shift our social structures. For instance, online platforms dedicated to productivity, like FocusMate, pair individuals in virtual co-working sessions to maintain accountability, thereby reducing the likelihood of procrastination. These setups mimic the benefits of a traditional office environment while allowing for flexibility. As we dive deeper into the intricacies of our social influences, we face the critical question: how does our own mindset interplay with these external forces? What happens when we combine our internal beliefs with social expectations? Let's explore the fascinating relationship between mindset and procrastination. Perfectionism and procrastination are often viewed as two sides of the same coin, intertwined in a complex dance that can lead to unproductivity. For many, the drive for perfection becomes a crippling force, creating an internal conflict that results in procrastination. Understanding this connection is essential for those striving to overcome delays and achieve their goals. Take the case of Laura, an architect whose perfectionist tendencies led her to delay project submissions. Instead of embracing the iterative process of design, Laura found herself obsessing over minute details, fearing criticism if anything fell short of perfect. This fear turned her work into a never-ending cycle of revisions, often leading her to miss deadlines entirely, or worse, not submit anything at all. Studies show that perfectionism can lead to higher levels of anxiety and lower self-esteem. Research published in the Journal of Personality illustrated that perfectionistic individuals often set unattainably high standards, leading to feelings of inadequacy when those standards aren't met. This inadequacy can trigger avoidance behaviors. In Laura's case, procrastination became her way of coping with the intense pressure she placed on herself. Another interesting angle is the idea of outcome-based perfectionism versus process-oriented perfectionism. Outcome-based perfectionists focus solely on the results, leading to a fear of failure. In contrast, process-oriented perfectionists appreciate the journey and understand that mistakes are part of growth. Moving towards a process-oriented mindset can help alleviate the procrastination trap that outcome-oriented perfectionists often find themselves in. Moreover, addressing perfectionism involves reframing our perception of success and failure. Embracing a growth mindset, where we value learning and progress over perfection, can be transformative. Laura learned to appreciate the iterative process during her work. By re-evaluating her understanding of success, she found that submitting drafts, despite imperfections, could lead to valuable feedback and ultimately enhance her designs. To combat procrastination fueled by perfectionism, some strategies include setting realistic goals, breaking tasks into smaller parts, and allowing room for error. This approach can not only reduce the pressure to perform perfectly but also cultivate resilience in the face of setbacks. As we unravel the complexities of procrastination, one question remains: how can we marry the concepts of mindset and social influence to create a more productive environment? What practical steps can we take to harness both for better outcomes? Let's explore. As we dive deeper into the relationship between procrastination and contemporary lifestyles, it's impossible to ignore the role of technology. Today's digital world offers a multitude of distractions that can easily derail our focus and productivity. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media, only to realize hours have passed, and your to-do list remains untouched? This phenomenon isn't accidental, it's an intricate dance between our psychology and the engaging nature of technology. Let's consider the case of Sarah, a college student who found herself drowning in assignments. Despite her ambition to excel, she struggled to start her projects. One day, Sarah decided to take a break and opened her laptop. Instead of focusing on her essay, she found herself lost in the endless scroll of TikTok videos. What was supposed to be a brief distraction turned into a 3-hour binge, leaving Sarah feeling guilty and even more overwhelmed. Research indicates that the average person spends approximately 3 hours daily on their smartphones. That's a staggering 45 days a year. Imagine the potential productivity loss when we consider how easily we can be swept into the vortex of technology. The design of many apps is intentional, often employing algorithms that prioritize engagement and keep us coming back for more. This endless cycle of distraction can exacerbate procrastination, creating a feedback loop where we delay important tasks as we indulge in immediate gratification. Studies show that our brains thrive on dopamine hits, which are triggered when we receive likes, comments, or new content. Each notification can lead to a release of this pleasurable chemical, drawing us deeper into procrastination. This is particularly problematic when we have deadlines looming, yet we choose to engage with a world of mindless entertainment instead. To combat this, individuals must develop awareness of the environments they create. For instance, if Sarah had set boundaries with her devices, such as using apps that block social media during study hours, she might have significantly reduced her procrastination. Additionally, research suggests that using technology mindfully can enhance productivity. By leveraging tools designed for focus, like Pomodoro timers and productivity apps, individuals can reshape their relationship with technology, turning it from a procrastination tool into an ally for productivity. As we consider the patterns of procrastination in the age of technology, we uncover a stark truth: it's not just about willpower, it's about understanding the tools, the triggers, and our habits. Can we rewrite our digital narratives? As we explore practical solutions, remember that the key lies in conscious choices and strategic planning. The next chapter will delve into how mindfulness and self-awareness can truly empower our fight against procrastination, tackling the habits we've formed within the context of technology. Mindfulness, a term often associated with meditation and relaxation, has shown immense potential in combating procrastination. It encourages us to remain present, to acknowledge our thoughts without judgment, and to be aware of our actions. But how can this age-old practice influence our ability to overcome procrastination? At its core, procrastination frequently stems from a lack of awareness about our emotions and triggers. For example, when faced with a daunting task, we might automatically feel anxiety, which prompts us to avoid it entirely. Instead of addressing these feelings, we subconsciously choose distraction, often leading to a cascade of further avoidance. Consider the journey of Tom, a software engineer who found himself constantly pushing off his coding projects. He often felt paralyzed at the thought of complex problems, leading him to binge-watch shows or scroll through social media. It was only when he was introduced to mindfulness techniques that he began to understand the root of his avoidance. Tom learned to recognize the early signs of fear and anxiety as they arose. Instead of reacting by procrastinating, he would pause, breathe, and ground himself in the present moment. This simple strategy helped him separate his feelings from his actions, allowing him to tackle tasks with a clearer mind. Through practice, mindfulness became Tom's tool, enhancing focus and reducing the emotional weight tasks held over him. Several studies support this connection between mindfulness and productivity. For instance, a 2019 study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants who practiced mindfulness reported lower levels of procrastination and improved task performance. This isn't mere anecdote, it's empirical evidence of the transformative power of being present. Mindful techniques can differ from meditation to breathing exercises. One practical approach is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It encourages individuals to identify 5 things they can see, 4 things they can touch, 3 things they can hear, 2 things they can smell, and one thing they can taste. By engaging our senses, we ground ourselves in the present, easing anxiety and procrastination triggers. Integrating mindfulness into daily routines can foster a proactive mindset where tasks feel less daunting. Imagine waking up, spending a few minutes breathing and visualizing the day ahead. This foresight can motivate you to break down larger projects into smaller, manageable tasks, reducing the likelihood of procrastination. As we dive into the next chapter, we'll explore how developing a supportive environment is crucial in cultivating the discipline needed to overcome procrastination. After all, sometimes the people and spaces we surround ourselves with can make all the difference in our journey toward productivity and self-improvement. In our hyper-connected world, technology plays a double-edged sword when it comes to procrastination. On one hand, the internet holds a treasure trove of information and resources that can help us accomplish our goals. On the other hand, it is a vast ocean filled with distractions that can lure us away from our responsibilities. Take, for instance, the advent of social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok can easily consume our attention for hours, often leading us to forget the tasks we intended to complete. In fact, a study by the American Psychological Association revealed that 45% of adults reported using social media to distract themselves from potential work. The paradox is that these technologies are designed to keep us engaged, but at what cost? Many of us find ourselves saying, "Just 5 more minutes," as we scroll through our feeds, only to realize that an hour has passed. This phenomenon is known as time dilation, where our perception of time is distorted due to engrossing activities. As our attention is divided between multiple screens, we often lose our ability to focus deeply on any one task. However, it's essential to recognize that technology can also empower us in combating procrastination. Productivity applications such as Trello, Todoist, and even Google Calendar allow users to organize tasks effectively. Research has shown that merely writing down tasks can lead to a 42% increase in the likelihood of completing them. Moreover, using timers, such as the Pomodoro technique, encourages focus by suggesting we work in manageable bursts, punctuated by breaks. This not only helps maintain attention but also boosts motivation through completed tasks. But what happens when our tools become traps? Let's revisit the story of Sarah, a bright university student who struggled with procrastination due to her heavy reliance on technology. Sarah was overwhelmed with coursework and often found herself distracted by her phone. After multiple late nights cramming, she decided to implement a digital detox. She removed social media apps from her phone for a month. Surprisingly, the change became a revelation. Instead of spending hours scrolling, she found herself dedicating that time to her studies, resulting in her achieving an A in a course she initially felt she might fail. In contrast, take the case of Tom, a marketing professional, who believed that multitasking with technology was a strength. He often juggled emails, video calls, and project management tools simultaneously. He felt productive, but he was far from it. His projects suffered delays, and he experienced increased stress levels due to unfinished tasks. It wasn't until he took a course on digital wellness that he recognized the importance of single tasking. By focusing on one project at a time without distractions, Tom found he not only completed tasks more efficiently but also enjoyed his work more. In conclusion, while technology can enhance productivity by providing tools and resources, it is crucial to balance its use. A conscious approach to managing technology, setting boundaries and using tools that foster focus, can help individuals minimize procrastination. The key is to use technology as a partner in our productivity journey rather than allowing it to lead us astray. Moving forward, we must learn to harness technology's power wisely to limit procrastination and enhance our output. Amidst our chaotic lives, mindfulness has emerged as a powerful practice to help combat procrastination. At its core, mindfulness involves being present and fully engaged in the moment without judgment. This simple act of bringing awareness can drastically transform how we approach our tasks. Researchers from the University of California found that practicing mindfulness can lead to increased focus and a reduction in feelings of overwhelm, which are often at the heart of procrastination. Imagine waking up in the morning feeling anxious about an overwhelming to-do list. You have that project due tomorrow, multiple errands to run, and a stack of chores waiting to be tackled. In such situations, it's easy to fall into a cycle of avoidance, choosing to scroll through social media or binge-watch another episode instead. Yet, what if the key to breaking that cycle lies in simply breathing? Consider the story of Emily, a young professional plagued by procrastination. Each day, she found herself postponing important work until the last minute, leading to stress and anxiety. One day, she stumbled upon a mindfulness meditation workshop. Intrigued, Emily decided to give it a chance. During her first session, she learned to focus on her breath, acknowledging her thoughts without judgment. Over time, she incorporated short, 5-minute mindfulness exercises into her daily routine. As she became more aware of her tendencies to procrastinate, she learned to confront them with acceptance rather than fear. Before she knew it, Emily was tackling her tasks with newfound clarity and focus. Mindfulness has a unique ability to create a break in the habitual patterns that lead to procrastination. According to a study published in the journal Psychology of Sport and Exercise, participants who practiced mindfulness showed a 27% reduction in procrastination behaviors. The study suggested that mindfulness helps individuals recognize their emotions and thought patterns, enabling them to respond more effectively to challenges. By increasing awareness, we gain insight into our triggers, those moments when procrastination rears its head. One effective mindfulness technique is the 5 senses exercise, a grounding practice that brings you back to the present. Take a moment to pause and observe. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel, taste, and smell? By tuning into your senses, you create a mental space that allows anxiety to melt away, making it easier to focus on the task at hand. This technique was especially helpful for Jake, a high school student who struggled with test anxiety. Instead of succumbing to procrastination, Jake began using the 5 senses exercise to center himself before studying. His grades improved significantly, and with that, his confidence grew. Moreover, adopting mindfulness doesn't have to mean meditation. Small, mindful moments throughout the day can make a difference. For instance, during a mundane task, like washing dishes, pay attention to the sensation of warm water on your hands, the sound of clinking dishes, or the scent of soap. Immersing yourself fully creates a sense of calm, helping you manage your tasks with less resistance and more confidence. In conclusion, mindfulness can serve as a powerful ally in overcoming procrastination. It reminds us to engage with our tasks, ground ourselves in the present, and cultivate a non-judgmental attitude